Hey everybody, my name is Josh. I'm the one that's known as Josh and Jesus on here, and I'm going to make a video today documenting some stuff. And I know a lot of you are probably surprised because I don't make a lot of videos, but I feel that I need to take my story to the public because I have a case of really, in my opinion, severe landlord harassment that's been going on. My landlords have been trying to evict me on and off for the last year without really me doing anything wrong. And I want to get some word out there, and hopefully, if anybody out there can help me somehow, that would be great. So, before I get into this, let me just get into my story here. Okay, so I have been living on Haverkamp Properties here in Ames, Iowa, for almost 8 years, specifically in the West Town apartments. I have never caused anybody any trouble in that time. I'm a pretty quiet tenant. I stay to myself. I have friends over maybe twice a month. And we talk at normal octaves, right? Like, I'm not a partier. I'm past that age. And, I'm not somebody who's going to cause a lot of noise, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But for the last year, some new management came up in Haverkamp. A young woman named Brooke Farmer got an assistant manager position. She had been just a normal employee before. And ever since she took over, she's been harassing me and trying to push me out of here. And so what happened is, by the way, just so everybody knows, before people start making comments, this is not about rent. I've never been behind on my rent, never will be. This has nothing to do with rent. I don't owe Haverkamp any money. I don't owe the office any money. I'm up to date on my rent and have been my entire 8 years here. So I want to make clear that they're not evicting me because of a rent issue or being behind on a payment issue or anything like that. So moving forward. A year ago, as I speak, today is July, I want to say 12th, 2022. A family moved in last August 1st, which is about a year ago now. And they have 2 kids. And their 2 kids are 10 years old and 12 years old. And that family they moved in over my head. And that family lets their kids run around inside the apartment unabated all day long and all night strong. So every single day I'm hearing boom, 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 all across my ceiling. When this first started going on, I cut these people a little bit of slack because they're new here. And I understand maybe their kids came from a house or something. They're not used to being in an apartment. Give them a little time. They'll adjust, right? Didn't happen. Christmas comes along. I've been dealing with this stuff for over 4 months now. And Christmas is when I kind of snapped because Christmas break is usually when everybody leaves. Ames is a college town, and everybody usually leaves at Christmas and goes home to their families, leaves town, goes home to wherever they're from for like 3 weeks or a month or something like that. And I usually get some peace and quiet, like total solitude, and it's usually great. But this time it wasn't great because this family stayed back and they made all the same noises that they always do. So that's when I started fighting back a little bit. I started complaining to the office and I started banging the ceiling every time I would hear those kids run for more than 5 minutes at a time. This bought me a little bit of relief, but I still had to bang the ceiling like 6 times a day, 6 times a night, in order to really get any peace at all. Brooke was the one fielding most of my complaints, and she just kept giving me excuses. I won't get into them because I don't want to make this video too long, but she kept giving me excuses about why she couldn't say anything to that family, and she doesn't know who it is, and she's not interested in finding out who it is, and so on and so forth. So I decided to take matters into my own hands and try to resolve the noise issue on my own. And I actually asked Brooke's permission. By the way, I am talking about Brooke Farmer, assistant manager here at Haverkamp. So I asked Brooke's permission to start leaving some notes upstairs, asking people not to run in here, not to let their children run in here, because it creates noise downstairs, and so on. Brooke actually gave me permission to do this. Now, I don't need Haverkamp's permission to do this. I have the right to knock my neighbors' doors and leave notes on my own. I mean, I have the right to use peaceful and nonviolent means of resolving an issue with my neighbors. So it's not that I needed permission, but I kind of sensed Brooke's vibe and sensed that she really didn't like me or respect me. So I decided to ask her permission anyway, because I just knew this would have been a big headache if I didn't. So I asked Brooke's permission, and she said she gave me permission. What I didn't know is that every time I would post notes after that, go upstairs and post notes telling people to stop running in here, Brooke would go in right after me and take all my notes down. So the upstairs neighbors never even saw those notes. I didn't find this out till later. So Brooke's telling me I can leave notes and knock doors and stuff, but whenever I leave notes, she sends one of her employees in to take down my notes. And so, like I said, I didn't find that out for like another month. But anyway, about the fourth or so time I left notes upstairs, I finally, and the noise was still going on a daily basis. I messaged Brooke and I said, listen, this is still going on. This cannot go on indefinitely. You're going to have to do something here. And Brooke sent me back a very disrespectful message, basically saying that she understands my frustration, but I have to comprehend that I live with other people and I'm going to hear noise. And then she told me that I'm no longer allowed to try to knock doors or leave notes or bang on the ceiling or do anything to respond to the noise. I'm just going to have to put up with it unless I want to break my lease. That's what she said to me. And I told her no, I wasn't going to accept that. I emailed her back. And I said I have the right to a quiet environment, and I have the right to resolve disputes with my neighbors on my own, so long as I'm doing it peacefully and nonviolently. And you are not allowed to tell me that I cannot do that. So that's what I came back at her with. She never emailed me back. But 2 days later, I got a note on my door threatening to evict me. This was an official letter from Haverkamp Properties, threatening to evict me because I was in violation of the behavioral policy. Now, it didn't specify the behavior, but this was basically Brooke's response to me standing up to her and telling her that I don't have to listen to her, that I can resolve the noise issues on my own, and you cannot stop me from doing so. You know, because Brooke was trying to make me feel like she's not going to do anything about this. And now she's telling me I can't do anything about this. So she's trying to make me feel uncomfortable in here, like my only options are to put up with ungodly, ongoing noise or break my lease and leave the apartment. And I just wasn't going to put up with that. That's illegal. That is landlord harassment. It's landlord intimidation. And even though I didn't really know anything about landlord-tenant law at that time, I knew, this was back in January, by the way, I knew as soon as I saw this note that this had to be illegal. Had to be illegal. So I went down to the Haverkamp offices and I pulled out my camera, my phone, and I started recording Brooke. I walked right into her office, held my phone up, did not hide the fact that I was recording. I wanted her to know. And I started questioning her about this eviction threat on my door. And I don't want to make this video too long, but she basically folded under the camera and she agreed to start sent out an email to the building to ask people to stop letting their children run in here and stuff. And she admitted to taking those notes down as soon as I would post them and, you know, basically violating my rights, right? So a lot of what was on camera, I'll post it on my on camera stuff here eventually, my conversation with her. But a lot of it was just her incoherently trying to defend herself and just kind of mumbling over her words. And she knew she had done something wrong. Like, you could see the fear on her face. She knew that by putting that eviction threat on my door, she had definitely messed up. She just didn't think I would fight back, or she didn't think I knew how to fight back, and she was wrong. So anyway, Brooke's email seemed to work. The noise did slow down in here for a couple of weeks, but it started right back up again. So I was right back to having to bang the ceiling and yell upstairs at that family to calm their, stop running in here 4, 5, 6 times a day. And so Brooke never put another eviction threat on my door again. Oh, she sent 3 of them in 3 days, by the way. I got 3 of them on my door on 3 days in a row. So that was also very, obviously coordinated, and it was definitely an attempt to intimidate me. So anyway, where was I? What was I saying? Okay, noise comes down for a couple weeks. Okay, so noise comes down for a couple weeks and ramps right back up. I have to start hitting the ceiling again, 3, 4, 5 times a day. Brooke never put an eviction threat back on my door, but she started asking me for meetings, every time. But what Brooke did is she reached out to a bunch of my neighbors, and she specifically asked them to report me to her every time that I banged the ceiling to get the upstairs neighbors to stop making noise. Did you guys follow that? So every time the upstairs neighbors would ramp up the noise and I would bang the ceiling so I could get a little peace, Brooke has these moles in this building that she's reached out to that would report me to her. And then what she would do is she would email me asking me to meet with her so that we could discuss, quote unquote, how things are going in here. That's how she would word this in her email. So she's done this to me 4 or 5 times over the last 4 or 5 months, I would say. So she just keeps trying to get at me. She knows she can't put an eviction threat on my door anymore because I caught her with that one. But she keeps trying to bother me. And she's never, ever addressed the family upstairs that's causing these noise issues, that is making my life a living hell in this apartment. And she absolutely refuses to do so. But she keeps coming after me. Now, fast forward, I'm going to skip a lot of this story because I want to keep this video under 20 minutes. This is the way things have gone for the last 4 or 5, 6 months. This whole year, really. This past Friday, so July 9th, kids upstairs running around, making all kinds of noise again. I'm trying to concentrate on something. So I get up and I get mad and I bang the ceiling, 10, 15, 20 times. I mean, I wanted to make the point that this wasn't happening today. And, excuse me, it worked. After I got done banging the ceiling, the noise calmed down, the noise went away, and I was able to go back to focusing on what I was doing. About an hour later, Brooke Farmer knocks my door. I could not believe she knocked my door. What happened was somebody knocked my door, and I saw there was a guy outside. So I'd never seen this guy before. I figured he might have been the dad from upstairs. So I'm thinking he's coming to fist fight me, right? So I get my shoes on, get a shirt on because I was shirtless at the time. And I go outside and I'm ready to throw down. But when I get out there, Brooke is out there. And the guy is just kind of backing up. As soon as he saw me, he was kind of terrified. But I asked Brooke, what are you doing here? And she asked me if I was banging on the ceiling. And I said, yeah. And she says, why? And I says, I told you, every time I hear the upstairs neighbors, they're going to hear me. I do not have to listen to this crap. And to make a long story short, we spent 10 minutes going back and forth. Her argument towards me was, I absolutely have to accept the noise because it's children making the noise. And I said, no, I don't. I don't have to put up with this at all. It's been a year of this nonsense. I'm not putting up with it no more. And she just keeps coming back at me. Well, no, because it's children, you have to do that. And I'm like, no, I do not. Get the hell away from my door. I'm not doing nothing. And then she asked me if I wanted to meet with her and Vinny to discuss this. And I said, yeah, as long as Todd's there. And I'm talking about Todd Westenberg. He's like one of the higher ranking people of Haverkamp Properties. So I just felt very violated and very angry that Brooke had the audacity to knock my door just because I banged the ceiling a few times to get some noise above me to stop. I mean, I wasn't happy about that at all, but I didn't realize she was trying to bait me into that anger so that she could trick me into a meeting with her. And I know what's going to happen in that meeting. They're going to offer me to break my lease. That's what they do in these meetings. So, and this video is going to go longer than 20 minutes. I can see it. Okay, so that was the final straw. That's when I decided I'm going to try to pursue action against Haverkamp Properties. Because the thing with Brooke is that she doesn't do this to anybody else. Brooke is known for ignoring complaints. She ignores complaints from everybody about everybody in this whole complex. She is well known and well documented for this. But when someone complains about me, she's all over it. When somebody complains about me, she wants to put eviction threats on my door. When someone complains about me, she wants to have meetings with me. When someone complains about me, she's got the nerve to come knock my door personally without notice, because she didn't send an email. She did not send an email. She didn't give me a phone call, nothing. She just showed up at my door. I couldn't believe it. Still can't. You're going to really show up at my door as a landlord because I banged the ceiling a few times because I'm trying to have some peace and quiet in here? And I should say that a few months ago, I had messaged Todd to let him know about Brooke's harassment and Todd Westenberg, who's like the chief officer of Haverkamp. And I documented everything, told him everything Brooke was doing. He promised me an investigation. And one day later, he was asking me for a meeting, so he didn't do any sort of investigation. And what's even crazier is that Brooke is still working here. After everything Todd knows that Brooke has put me through, Brooke is still working here. So that's another thing I kept note of. But this Brooke knocking on my door, that was the last straw. I mean, as a landlord, you're only supposed to knock someone's door if something real serious is going on. You think there's domestic abuse going on or something like that. She's knocking my door because she knows why I'm banging the ceiling. It's why I'm always doing it, to have a little bit of peace and quiet so I can enjoy my apartment, so that I can read, so that I can work, so that I can focus on something. I don't have to listen to this nonsense all day, every day. And Brooke has been trying to make me feel like I have no choice but to either put up with all day, everyday noise or leave. But getting back to where I was saying before, but Brooke never responds to complaints. She never does anything about any complaints about anybody, except for me. She's got some kind of obsession with me or some kind of negative thought that she has towards me. I don't know what it is, but that's what it is. And she's going to keep finding ways to harass me until I either get evicted, until she figures out a way to evict me, or I fight back. So the time has come for me to fight back. Now, I've got some things working against me. I don't have money. I'm in between jobs. I mean, I'm paying my rent, but I don't have money for a lawyer, at least not a good one. But I'm going to do everything I can to get a lawyer to help me because I believe I deserve some compensation here. This is a year of this nonsense. And I've done nothing that would give management any reason to focus on me. I'm a quiet guy who wants peace and quiet in my own home. I mean, I'm not sure why that would attract Brooke Farmer's wrath, but it does. But anyway, I'm searching around for a lawyer right now, and I'm asking people out there if they know somebody who would help me. I'm also probably going to set up a fund. I've got a PayPal. It's Surrendered Spotlight. I'll link it down below. And that's going to be like my lawyer fund, but it's also, full disclosure, it's going to be like a half lawyer, half survival fund too, because I'm pretty sure I'm just going to need extra cash. Like, I fully expect Haverkamp to put a notice on my door at least either this week or next week to tell me I'm evicted and I have to be out in 7 days. And it's illegal for them to do that, but they've been doing illegal stuff to me this whole year. So I fully expect them to do it anyway. So I'm going to need like help with, I don't know, getting hotel rooms, gas, food, things like that, while I figure out how to fight this case. That's the first thing I'm up against. Here's the second thing I'm up against. Brent Haverkamp, who owns Haverkamp Properties, as well as Todd Westenberg, who I mentioned here, are both very wealthy people, and they can afford the best lawyers. So I've already got an uphill climb, all right? And it's going to be a tough battle just because of that. But now that I know they're coming after me, now that they know I'm coming after them, they're going to mess with me more. But there's even more to it than that. Brent Haverkamp and Todd Westenberg and almost all of these employees at Haverkamp belong to Cornerstone Church in Ames. And so I'm not just going up against Brent Haverkamp and Haverkamp Properties. I'm going up against the entire, I don't want to call it Cornerstone Mafia, but it kind of is in a way. Cornerstone Church is a borderline mega church here in Ames, and they have a lot of power and influence in this town. A lot. They have cops, they have judges, they have lawyers, they have people on the city council. They've got their tentacles everywhere in Ames. Their influence and reach is everywhere. So they can make things hard for me and make it hard for me to even get this thing off the ground in a bazillion different ways. They're so well connected around here, it's not even funny. They almost have their own little underground version of the Better Business Bureau going on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're just so well connected. So I'm going to have to hope that I find a lawyer that's like not connected to them. You know what I'm saying? Because a lawyer I find around here could be one of their church members and I don't know it, and could lose my case for me on purpose just because. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm up against. And I know some of you out there will think that that's paranoia, but it's not. Because these guys all look out for each other at Cornerstone. They do have they have a whole network going on. They all look out for each other, and they have a lot of power and reach in this town. It's just the way it is. So I'm basically up against, in a sense, all of Cornerstone Church as well, and all their connections. But this is something I have to pursue because this is just so wrong. I don't do anything in here. I leave people alone. I'm quiet. I expect other people to be reasonably quiet. And I'm being threatened with eviction on a regular basis because I don't want to put up with the noise that people upstairs are making. And if I go and handle things myself, if I knock their neighbor's door and ask them to calm their kids down, Brooke is going to come out of nowhere and evict me. So, and she said as much. Like, it's in our email exchange that I've saved. So hopefully I can find a lawyer, and hopefully I can get some decent compensation for everything I've been through. I'm looking for compensation, and I'm looking to make sure that Brooke is banished from the landlord business forever. She doesn't need to be a landlord. She doesn't care about anybody. You know, like I said, she always ignores complaints, no matter who it's from or about. But again, she has this hyper focus on me where if she hears something about me, I'm getting eviction threats. I'm getting her asking me for meetings. I'm getting, all kinds of stuff. She's trying to make me feel like I don't belong here. that I need to go, that if I want to stay here, I have to accept daily freaking pounding upstairs all day long, and that I should just sit there and shut up about it. Otherwise, she'll evict me. So the time has come for me to fight back as much as I can. So I'm going to link my PayPal down below, and any help would be appreciated. But what would really be appreciated, what I would really like, is if somebody's got a connection to a lawyer who would look at my case. Now, one thing I do have, I don't have money up front, but this case is basically a guaranteed victory. I have a very good case. It's well documented. Everything Brooke has done to me is well documented. I've saved everything in emails, letters she sent me, all kinds of stuff. I can easily show a pattern of targeted harassment on Brooke Farmer's and Haverkamp's part. Easily. Because luckily for me, Brooke did not cover her tracks very well. She didn't even really try to cover her tracks. I think she thought that because I'm like a former homeless guy, and that's what it is. I used to be homeless. I used to be an alcoholic in the streets, but I cleaned up my life, got my high school diploma 8 years ago. I got into Iowa State University, and I graduated 2 years ago with honors, so I turned my life around. So maybe Brooke doesn't like formerly homeless people. I don't know. Maybe that's why she's so obsessed with like trying to push me out of here. But I'm losing my train of thought here. But yeah, okay, so I'm going to link my PayPal down below. But what I'd really like is a connection to a lawyer, hopefully a lawyer from out of town, because I don't trust anybody in town, because like I said, Cornerstone has their connections everywhere. So it's just, they've got a really good lock on this town. And so I can't trust anybody in this town to truly care about my case. Hopefully something can get done. So that's about all. That's all I have to say for now. And more videos in the future, I guess.